Return of the Jedi, the last canonical Star Wars movie, timeline-wise, until The Force Awakens. Cannot wait for that. But until then, we got Return of the Jedi. Here we go, Episode 6. So this takes place a year or so after The Empire Strikes Back, I think. Basically, Han Solo's trapped in the Carbonite, so the gang is going off to save him and take down Jabba the Hutt, and then the Empire is building Death Star Mark II, I believe it's called. A new and more powerful Death Star. And then the Emperor is coming to that Death Star to oversee its construction while Darth Vader is also there. And to get into the Death Star, the rebels have to touch down on the Force moon of Endor, which is next to it, and destroy a shield so they can destroy it. And hopefully take down the Emperor and Darth Vader and pretty much most of the Empire with it. And yeah, we have the end of the movie, which not the end of the movie. And then we also have Luke, who wants to redeem Darth Vader, so he goes there to see if he can bring him back to the good side, because he still believes that there's good in him. That's the story, and it's an epic conclusion. I really love Return of the Jedi. I kind of feel like it gets a lot of hate, but at the same time, I don't really mind. This one probably has some more controversial special edition changes. Like, when they're in Jabba the Hutt portion, there's this, like, weird song change, and they throw in some weird CGI aliens, which are kind of weird. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but whatever, I don't care. And at the same time, the Jabba the Hutt portion is kind of interesting. It's the first, I'd say, 20 to 30 minutes of the movie. And it's interesting, you know, they're going in to rescue Han. They're on Tatooine, so they revisit that place. It's pretty cool, and then they have to fight him off, and Luke's got his new green lightsaber, because Darth Vader destroyed his old one, the blue one. So, that's pretty cool, and we also get to see Luke fight him off there. And this time, there's more special effects in this one than the others. I kind of feel like Return of the Jedi is the most special effects heavy. And this was 83, I believe, so, and they actually do look good still. Like, they don't need to use that many as, like, some of the previous ones showed us, but they look good for what they are, and I do think, you know, some shots, especially, like, that one bike chase in the middle of the movie, could look better, but I don't care. It still looks good, and I like that. You know, Luke, this time, is different. He's not really like his episode 4 or 5 persona. He's more of like this, you know, he's kind of completed his Jedi training. Now he's this more thorough guy. You know, he's like, I will be able to speak to him. And, you know, he's mastered the Force and lightsaber stuff. You know, you really get a feeling that this guy knows what he's doing now, and now he can become the master since he's like the last Jedi left. You know, I really love also, again, Han and Leia's romance. It's good. You really feel like they actually like each other, and it's not forced down your throat like the prequels, but, you know, I still like them. They're nice. They're cute together. They can fight and without being distracted, and they're really cool. And, you know, Lando is still pretty awesome. Lando does a lot more in swinging. Like, he's the one piloting the Millennium Falcon to attack the new Death Star, and there's a lot of really cool stuff here. Like, you know, they're also running the Ewoks, these little tiny fuzzy teddy bear whatever things are like about the size of like this screen, I guess, of what it captures. I don't know. A lot of people really don't like Ewoks. Personally, I really don't mind them. You know, they're nice little presents. There are a whole bunch of them. It's a little primitive culture thing. They're like, you know, cute and lighthearted. A lot of people say this is where George Lucas started his whole making things just to sell toys. But for what they are, I don't mind the Ewoks. You know, they're nice, they're cute, and they're fuzzy, and they're good. They're nice little people. It's not like they're distracting or anything. I mean, they are there, but at the same time, I don't care about them. I kind of feel like a lot of people, you know, really hate on them. They're not bad. I don't know. This is really the only movie they're in. I mean, they're not really in anything else, to my knowledge. But, you know, whatever. We'll see if the new trilogy does anything with them, or if any of the anthology films. But whatever. For what the Ewoks are, I really don't mind them. And I also gotta say, the ending climax of this movie is awesome. Like, when Luke goes up against Darth Vader, and the Emperor's there enticing him to turn to the dark side, and Luke's like, no, Father, come. And, you know, all that stuff, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but it is one of the best conclusions to any movie ever. It's the perfect conclusion of this trilogy. It is such an awesome finale. I love it, and it's probably the best lightsaber fight ever, because there's so much emotion there. It's such well choreographed fight scene, even though it's not like Revenge of the Sith well choreographed. It's more in the way that, you know, it's simplistic, and it works for what it is, and it's really great. And there's a lot of also awesome action scenes down on Endor, where they're like fighting the Empire, the ground stormtroopers, whatnot, because they can't hit anything. and a lot of other cool stuff's going down, like, you know, Lando and the Rebel fleet. There's some awesome space shooting action scenes there, with going into the Death Star or whatnot, and it's really awesome. There's so much emotion in this movie. There's such great climax. It's great. You know, the only part of this movie is that it kind of feels a little different. Like, the Jabba the Hutt portion and then the rest of it kind of feels like this weird contrast they had to put in the movie just because, you know, Harrison Ford, they weren't sure if he was going to return for this movie. That's why they did the freezing him in the carbonite thing, and then they put him here. But, you know, I don't care. It's still a nice portion. I do enjoy that, and I do like the movie. Return of the Jedi is still a great movie. I do think it's worthy to be part of the Star Wars name. You know, I feel it gets a lot of hate for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, it's not as good as the other two movies. It's definitely my least favorite of the original trilogy. But you know what? It's still a great movie, and I would definitely watch Return of the Jedi again. I really like it. You know, it's got the most emotion. It's got some of the most emotion, I feel, as an amazing climax. I love all the stuff that goes down, you know, the whole story about seeing if you can redeem Anakin, which is like the overall story of all the movies. I'm a little disappointed that, you know, the new trilogy probably won't have, like, anything to do with Anakin, which, you know, I kind of feel like it was fine. It's like the prequels, it's supposed to be like Obi-Wan's story of, like, you know, raising Anakin and seeing Anakin turn to the dark side, and then, you know, the original trilogy is like Luke and his fight against his father and all that stuff. And, you know, the overall story is about Anakin and the tragic story of him. You know, I don't really care, though, because, again, it's a new Star Wars movie, and I'm going to love to see it. And I'm sure Darth Vader is going to play some kind of part in those movies in some way, shape, or form. But whatever. The point is, Return of the Jedi is an awesome movie. It's great. It's not the best, you know. But at the same time, I can't ignore it's a great movie, you know. It's definitely better than the prequels, even though for some reason Revenge of the Sith has 1% higher than this on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't understand why, because this movie's a lot better than Revenge of the Sith, but whatever, I don't care. Return of the Jedi is an awesome movie. It's a great end to the series. I love it as part of the trilogy, and you should definitely check it out. Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, gets a 95%. Great movie, a few problems here and there. It's not as good as some of the others, but I don't care. Great. And I'd say overall, this trilogy, if you just look at it as all one movie, continuous, it has so much emotion. It's so good, and I can't give it anything but 100% of the whole trilogy. Just, it's one of the best trilogies ever made. These movies really paved the way for sci-fi movies in the future, and they really inspired a lot. They were such important to pop culture and all that stuff. Star Wars, I love Star Wars so much, and I can't wait for The Force Awakens this December. There's really not a whole lot else I can say that it hasn't been said already. I'm watching the Clone Wars animated series right now, and I'm going to review that eventually when I finish. I'm only getting through Season 1 right now, because I'm watching it little by little every day, and I'll get to that. And eventually I might talk about Star Wars Rebels, the other show. I get to watch that. And if there's anything else Star Wars out there that's on a screen or whatever else it is, I'll probably talk about it, because I love me some Star Wars. I'm officially a Star Wars fan, and I cannot be more excited for The Force Awakens, as I already said. Which I might do a big group review with like 2 or 3 of my friends. Like, I got a bunch of friends who love Star Wars. So yeah, you might see James here, you might see my buddy Daniel, who's probably been here. Might even see another friend of mine, Carlos. I don't know, we'll see. I'll ask them if they want to do it. But yeah, they'll probably see Daniel and James, if not anyone else. I don't know. Whatever, that's it for Star Wars. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Adios, home slices. Still can't use the Force to turn the video off. Oh well, goodbye.